Thanks everyone for coming back. Here we are at lesson 10 that says, my thoughts do not mean anything. And that applies to every single thought you have or you think you have. And the reason why they don't mean anything is because it says these aren't your real thoughts. Now, later on, we're going to find out that real thoughts always have to do with lovingness, and most of our thoughts don't. But that's for another time. Right now, they aren't real, and as it says, you haven't anything to compare to, so you would have no way of knowing that these aren't your real thoughts. It says, we've talked about this before, but here it makes a distinction. This time it says, my thoughts. Before it said, these thoughts, as they were just sort of random floating around thoughts. Now we're going to take more ownership of them. My thoughts do not mean anything, which really just means, of course, as has been stated again, your mind at this moment is really blank. And it's emphasizing that they're meaningless, they're outside of you, they don't have anything to do with anything, and that primarily we're not actually really thinking when we are involved with the thoughts that normally preoccupy us. So once again, it's trying to help us see that these are really just not important at all. They don't mean anything. They're just like strange debris floating around. And of course, we take it very seriously. Now, you might say, how come I've got things that I think are thoughts that don't mean anything? Where did they come from? Well, from a worldly point of view, you can remember that we've often talked about the fact that we inherit some DNA where there's a lot of guilt and fear still involved. And then when we are little and we have a completely immature brain that can't possibly make any sense out of the billions of units of information that are downloaded into it indiscriminately every nanosecond, so that we end up with this huge hodgepodge of information, and we do the best we can to try to sort it out or make sense of it. But what we've come up with is a collection of stuff that doesn't really mean anything. So this is to help us realize the kind of thinking in which we normally engage is based on not anything real, because it's based on not anything loving. It doesn't say this, but I'm going to tell you that because you'll be introduced to that later. So when you do the exercises, and it asks us to do 5 for the minute or so, it says this idea about my thoughts not meaning anything will help to release me from all that I now believe. And all the stuff that I now believe stems from back when we had no capacity to have a sensible, true, or real thought. So as always, you're to search your mind for just anything that happens to be there. And as it says, like it's this really weird, odd parade, good, bad, important, unimportant, just a tangle of thoughts that are proceeding across your awareness. And with the same lack of discrimination about what you think is important or not, just note, my thought about those flowers doesn't mean anything. My thoughts about what I'm going to do next week don't mean anything. Those are plural. Then you can come down to singular. My thought about my to-do list doesn't mean anything. My thought about what somebody said or did doesn't mean anything. My thought about how I was treated about something doesn't mean anything. So you just let them wander through, but keep focusing on the fact these don't mean anything. I don't have to get so tied up with them. I don't have to worry about them. I don't have to fix anything. I just need to realize I'm surrounded by or involved with a lot of activity that I call thinking that's not my real thinking. And it says, this idea will help to release me from all that I now believe. That is quite a blatant statement of, I'm going to get myself reprogrammed. I'm being released from what I have taken for granted is true and real, and this is the way it is, so that something else can take its place. This is the first one that you can really see is a rewiring. It's a reprogramming. It's a reconditioning. It's a releasing me from what I believe that's false so that I can have something that's more accurate installed in its place, so to speak. Okie dokie. That's the end of lesson 10. Have a good practice. Bye.